Yo, we're back. You know what I'm saying? A lot of games got canceled this past week, 2 weeks. Week? It's been a week. Um because of protocol. So, we can't really upload, it's a little bit too big a moment. Not enough things to talk about it for the video. So, it didn't piss down our lives. That's a good thing. But so basically, last video I said I was gonna talk about Baylor Villanova. That was called Nova getting run out the gym. Baylor is still a stellar defensive team, even without Davion Mitchell, even without Maceo T, even without Jared Butler, even without Mark Bartel. They lost 4 starters, and they're just fine. Just chilling. No more team in the nation, just chilling. Yeah, so that team, they're gonna be a really good team in the Big 12 this year, and we also said we're gonna talk about Alabama versus Houston, which is a good game. Marcus Sasser struggled heavily. That's Houston's star player, and but he did hit a big shot at the end of the game to put him right back in it. Alabama played really well throughout that game, and JQ obviously had a really good game that game. Shackelford played well. Most of Alabama's team contributed, and of course, a controversial goaltend or whatever you want to call it that happened at the end of the game with J.D. Davison. I don't think it was a goaltend. I think the ball was off the cylinder. I think it was a great play by Davison, but it was really close, and it literally decided the game. They call goaltend. Houston wins. If they don't, Bama wins. So that's a tough call, but both teams showed that they're good enough to be Elite Eight, maybe even Final Four teams. And I think both teams are gonna have deep tournament runs, and both teams should win their conference. And then after that big win against Houston, Alabama went on the road against Memphis and got smacked. That's a big win for Memphis. And we were just talking about them the other day how Penny, I don't think he has the right culture, guys, but that's a big culture win. And, I think that's going to help, obviously, his recruiting. And I think he kind of knows what he needs to do now in terms of targeting players and in terms of what players he needs to get in to help them, win games and eventually, hopefully, for them be American Conference champions, because I don't think they've done that yet while Penny was a coach, and that would be big for them if they can accomplish that. Obviously, I think that was just a game where Alabama shot the ball poorly, and what really happened was, and everyone knows Alabama is one of the fastest playing teams in the country, along with Gonzaga and Arizona. We'll get to Arizona in a second, but what Memphis was able to do is they were able to speed up the guards of Alabama, make them just play fast, play lost, and that ended up costing them a game basically. And Memphis had a good game plan coming in. And another thing we learned about that game is Emoni Bates is not able to they yanked him. He only played 15 minutes that game because Penny Hardaway was looking at him get fried and was like, this dude can't play defense on the perimeter, so he's gonna have more work to do on the defensive end because he can't guard people. He's like Michael Porter Jr. was in college, basically, where he couldn't guard anyone, even though Michael Porter Jr. probably played like 6 college games, but he still couldn't guard anyone. So that's one thing that Emoni Bates is going to have to get better at, just defending in general. And, I think Memphis, they're in a good position, and Jalen Duren definitely looked good in that game. They're in a good position to make a run at something eventually, potentially a conference championship. But you got Houston in that conference. You got Wichita in that conference. That's a tough conference. It's probably one of the tough non-Power 6 conferences. I'm saying Power 6 because Big East, I think in basketball, is technically a power conference. So you have 6 conferences, and I guess the American, I think, is the 7th best. But that's definitely one of the best. Is that mid-major? No, it's not really. But yeah, let's go with that. They're the best mid-major conference. On December 22nd, Arizona played Tennessee in Knoxville, and the Kennedy Chandler hype. You got a little bit more to prove. But no, Tennessee really came out the gate, and they were firing. And by firing, I mean they were just rushing Arizona, who's another fast team that just got sped up and turned the ball over a lot. Because Arizona, I think there was some stat. They were like And that's what I was like, they play at a pace. They play 14 seconds of possession, fastest team in the country, and they played fast, all right. And their possessions were a lot shorter than 14 seconds, so they couldn't get the ball over half court in the beginning of the game. They were just getting plucked, ripped, lobs, dunks, layups, like just early in the game. It got out to 14-2, and I said it was over at 6-0. And it felt like they got rushed. But Arizona did come back. Arizona showed that they're a resilient team that knows what to do when they're under pressure, and they fought back. They only lost by I think 6, but I think that's just a team in Tennessee that they know how to defend at an extremely high level. They're the best defensive team in the country. I don't think a lot of people will argue with that or dispute it. And that's a team that is going to give a team like Alabama a challenge in the SEC. Obviously, you got a team like Auburn, Jabari Smith, and then you got some other solid teams in the SEC. But I think that's the big three in terms of power teams in the SEC right now, being Tennessee, Alabama, and Auburn. And I think Alabama's the best out of the three, and I think Tennessee is the second best. But all three could beat each other. We'll see what happens when they play. I definitely think that Tennessee is the best defensive team in the country, and they kind of showed that against Arizona, a team that was undefeated going into the game, ranked 6th in the nation, and they just got sped up. And Kennedy Chandler, he really didn't perform well. He played, I think, had like 3 buckets early in the game, just off fast break layups. He didn't score a field goal again. And I gotta keep watching Tennessee games to see him hopefully play good, because I want to understand what the hype's about with him, and I wasn't able to see from that game.